Hi, this is Steve from fxpedalplanet. Thanks for joining us here today. And tonight we've got the fantastic Cici, who is a wonderful bassist and guitarist. She's actually given us the opportunity to talk to us. Please say hello, Cici.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. It's an absolute privilege to have you here and giving you time to talk to ourselves and the members of the group.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. How's your week been so far?
It's been good. It's been not very eventful as things are at the moment, but can't complain.
Have you had much chance to play any music or any?
Yeah.
Done?
So I've actually been playing quite a lot recently. I went through a bit of a stage where I took the time out to do a few other things that I've needed doing because I wasn't sure, when else is anyone ever going to get an opportunity like this? But yeah, I've just been playing quite a lot, pretty non-stop recently, so it's been nice.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's one thing we've got in COVID, isn't it? That whilst we are sort of socially distancing at home, it means that we've got actually time to practice riffs and licks and everything like that. So there's no excuse anymore to turn up to band rehearsal with that not actually knowing any of the stuff. We haven't got that excuse now, have we? Because
I know.
But look, thanks very much for joining us. As I said, we've got a lot to go through with the sort of questions. So I wonder if we could maybe go through those. Primarily, you're a bass player. Is that correct?
I am, yeah.
So what sparked your enthusiasm to pick up the bass guitar? Where did that all start?
So I don't know exactly what it was about the bass that made me want to play it, but my kind of introduction to it was I saw a video of Paul Gray from Slipknot teaching how to play some of their songs, and before that I didn't actually really know what a bass was, but as soon as I saw the video I was like, that's what I want to do, and it was like a real gut instinct. But I really don't know why bass in particular, because no one else in my family is a musician, so it wasn't like it was inspired by that or anything. So wow. Yeah, I actually don't know, but I guess it was just a gut feeling and I was right, because I haven't looked back since. So
yeah, well, from the video clips that I've seen you play, you look like you're absolutely loving it. So
yeah, definitely.
That really comes through in your playing, which is great.
Oh, good.
Is it purely bass that you play, or do you play any other instruments?
No, I play guitar, although I've only been playing that for a couple of years now, and I've been self-taught on that at the moment. And also a bit more recently is drums, which I did have lessons on drums a few times a couple of years ago, but didn't really touch them. But recently I've kind of discovered them a bit more, and I've been playing a bit more. So yeah, I feel like I'm actually getting to be more of a drummer now than I was when I was actually having lessons. So yeah, it's a new world to explore.
Well, bass and drums are very intrinsically linked in together, aren't they? So
yeah, definitely.
It's something as a guitarist or a band member, when you've got a bass player and a drummer that are locking in tight together, it just feels right.
It really does. I know exactly what you mean.
It comes over in the music. It really does that. So Slipknot, are they your favourite sort of band, or?
Not really. I don't actually really have a favourite genre, because I've always loved, well, pretty much any genre really. I've just always loved music. So, but Slipknot were the first band that I really kind of followed. Before that was Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, which I can remember being into when I was about 3 years old, and it's still one of my inspirations. So yeah.
Wow. I've looked on some of your videos, and yeah, there is a huge varied of covers of songs that you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On things like "Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick" by Ian Dury and the Blockheads.
Yeah.
That's a great cover, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You do an absolute excellent job of that.
Thank you. That was the first bass video I ever did, actually. And weirdly, I was nervous for it, even though it was just me there. But I was kind of, I don't know, it was a new thing, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's Norman Watt-Roy's an awesome bass player, isn't he?
He really is. He's one of my favourites. So
yeah, he's a hell of a good player.
But yeah, I love all genres. I mean, electronic, world music, metal, even classical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think I remember seeing you did the cover of a Maiden classic. Was it Run to the Hills that you did? Is that the one I've seen?
Yeah. Now that was a bit of a funny story with that. That was one of the first songs I ever learned on bass. And I learned it from a YouTube video. And my teacher at the time, Steve Watterson, he was like, that week he'd got, my homework was to learn Let It Be by the Beatles. And I was like, okay, you learn that, just see if you can play it. So I did, and I learned the Iron Maiden one. I was like, Steve, I've learned this other one. Do you think I could show it to you? And I was really nervous. And she's like, yeah, you can have a go. And I played it, and by the end of it, he had tears in his eyes because he was so proud. But I love Steve, so yeah.
Are you still having lessons with Steve, or?
No, he's actually a guitar player, but he gave me the best start I could wish for because he was just so relaxed and there was never any pressure. But he did believe in me as well, so, and that definitely helps.
Yeah.
But occasionally I do still have the odd lesson with various people because I think you never stop learning, and I think even someone who's at a lower level than you still has a new perspective, but like they can still teach you something new. I think everyone can learn things from everyone, so yeah, I still have the odd lesson with a few people. Mike Mondaisy is someone who I occasionally go to, and he's lovely. He's Billy Cobham's bass player, so it's pretty amazing. Yeah, he's a great guy. And Tommy Gaskin was my bass teacher for a long time, and Russ Sargent, and all of them have kind of lifted me up and given me the confidence, which is a massive help, and I can't thank them enough. So yeah.
I had lessons too for I think the first 2 years of playing guitar, and too I remember the guy now. I remember the music teacher now, and he was the same. He gave me, he pushed me and believed in me, and it was such a it's so important for me. And I think if it wasn't for his input, I probably would have, as a 14-year-old lad, I probably would have put the guitar down.
I think that's so important, is that first introduction to it. Like if you, so many kids, they kind of start up and their parents go, are you sure you want to do that? And then they're like, fine, we'll get you some lessons. And then sometimes the teachers are like, yeah, there's no point trying to make a career out of this. And then so many of them quit, and I just think it's such a shame. Like, imagine how many amazing musicians there are that just don't play because of that. So yeah, I've been really lucky to have a lot of support. Like, my parents have always been, yeah, if you want to do that, then we'll find a way to try and help you do that. So
well, they've clearly seen they've clearly got an eye for talent, that's for sure. When I first saw your clips, I thought, yep, that's it, we're going to get her in for an interview. She's
thank you so much.
You know, hell of a talent. So but you're self-taught on the guitar, you say, is that right?
Yes, at the moment. So
and how far are you the guitaring sorts of it? Are you ready to tackle Free Bird by Leonard Skinner yet?
So actually, I did a live stream gig back in August, and that was on guitar. And I did my first guitar solo on that, which was Sound of the Suburbs. So
Brilliant.
it was very nerve-wracking, but I think the first guitar solo I learned was Bohemian Rhapsody, and then Hey You by Pink Floyd, which is one of my favourite songs ever. So I'm really proud to have learned that.
I think you are, yeah. I think I've been playing too many years, okay, and I still haven't sat down and learned the Bohemian Rhapsody solo. You know, it's scandalous, really. It's one of those that, you know, you should learn as a guitarist, really.
Yeah.
But there you are. So, what sort of bass players do you admire today? I mean, you mentioned the guys at Slipknot, and have you got anybody that you're looking at today, bass-wise, and thinking, you know, that you're following and so forth?
So one of my favourites is Shez Raja. He's actually a friend of mine, and he does kind of Indo-funk jazz fusion. I absolutely love his playing, but also Chris Squire, love his playing, love his tone. Guy Pratt. Guy Pratt's just such a funny guy as well. And yeah, Justin Chancellor is another one of my favourites from Tool. Norman Watt-Roy, of course, and John Entwistle is one that, like, I've always loved his playing, but it was fairly recently that you know, when you kind of rediscover someone and you hear a new layer to them, and it's like, whoa, that he's really good. So yeah, he's a big inspiration to me at the moment.
Yeah.
But aside from that, of course, Paul Gray, as I mentioned, I can't not be inspired by him because he started it all. And there was a quote I always remember from one of the guys in Slipknot who said, anyone who met Paul, their life changed forever, even if they didn't know it at the time. And I never met him, but he clearly changed my life in a massive way. So yeah, that quote always stuck with me. But I think one other thing about him is I think a lot of people don't realise how good he actually was.
Yeah.
But if you listen to a really early Slipknot track called Confessions, there's a really nice melodic bass tapping on a fretless at the start of it. And I think it really highlights what he could do. And I wish more people knew about that. So
yeah, there's the guys at Slipknot extremely talented, aren't they? They really are. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, guitar-wise, is there anybody that's really sort of influencing them that you look up to with the guitar?
Yeah. So John Frusciante.
You're not going to say me, are you?
And you, of course. Yeah. John Frusciante is one of my favourite musicians ever. He was in Red Hot Chili Peppers, then he left and did a lot of solo stuff, which I love. And I think he's recently rejoined, which I never thought I would say.
John's
so he's
guitarist.
Yeah, he's one of my main inspirations, not just in guitar but in music in general, and just the way he is. I appreciate a lot of what he says. And yeah, another one is Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac, of course, and Darren Malakian. I like a lot of what he does and how he uses the guitar. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great mix. John is a superb guitarist. I remember I posted something on Instagram once and I tagged him in, and he commented and there was
really
interacting with it, and I thought that was nice.
That's amazing.
It is, and you know, it is nice for people like that to take the time out for people like me to and provide support. But he's just got this. His tone is quite clean.
It is, isn't it?
Not a lot of overdrive there. You know, it's quite a pushed clean tone.
Yeah.
And normally when with those sort of tones, you know, that they highlight all the mistakes if you ever make it.
Yeah. It's very unforgiving.
And he's
amazing, isn't he?
I tell you another guitarist I admire, and that's Keith Scott of
right.
Adams.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah,
very talented guitarist.
Yeah,
very talented guy. So
good choice.
So, how would you describe your bass playing style?
So, I would say it's fluid but percussive in the sense that I quite like to move between notes fairly smoothly and kind of blend them together, almost like upright or fretless playing, if that makes any sense. But I can also play quite aggressively. And I tend to add a lot of ghost notes in just naturally. So hopefully it makes for quite an interesting mix. And obviously I'll always play what the song requires. Like I play other styles, but that's just kind of how it naturally developed. So
Yeah,
That would be my best try at describing it.
I think that's a good description. Yeah, you've clearly got the ability and technique to, I think, pretty much, turn your hand to most styles, really.
Yeah, well, thank you.
From the clips that I've seen, anyway. So,
Yeah.
that bass guitar you've got, it looks very nice.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's an Anaconda Crusher CXE4 Elite. It's actually a custom, which I've never had a custom bass before, so that is like a bit of a dream for me. It's got an American black walnut top and a swamp ash body. The guy who makes them, it's just one guy. He designs and makes all of them by hand. His name's Andrew Taylor Cummings, and I cannot recommend his basses enough. I mean, it sounds as good as it looks, and it plays as good as it looks. And he's just such a lovely guy, and he was so communicative when he was making it. So, yeah, highly recommend them.
And where's he based?
He's based in London.
Oh wow! Very
Yeah.
nice. These small independent builders, they do some great things. I had a guitar built by a guy called Rob Williams Guitars, who he's based in Wales.
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, he does great work, and I think a lot of these small independent luthiers, they offer great products. They really.
Oh, definitely.
I remember when Rob handed me my guitar for the first time, and he got it plugged into an amp, and I unplugged it out the amp, and I just wanted to hear it acoustically, and it was just vibrating. It's just, they've got wonderful talents.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're endorsed by Ashdown, is that correct?
Yeah.
What's that about?
So it was actually really unexpected. I'd loved their stuff for quite a while, and they knew I did. And one day they messaged me and they were like, by the way, we've put you on our artist page. And I think I was about 17 at the time, and I kind of couldn't believe it. So I wanted to double check. I was like, does that mean I'm an artist? And they're like, yeah. So it was pretty obvious I would have said yes. So no point in even asking. And I'm really grateful to be part of the family. I mean, they're such lovely guys, and I'm still as in love with their stuff as I was the first day I tried it. So it means a lot to me to be a part of it. But similarly, I'm actually endorsed by another company, a flight case company called Scott Dixon Inc. And that happened when I was about 16, again, very unexpectedly. I know I'm very lucky. And they asked if I'd be happy to be endorsed by them, which obviously I said yes. And I'm really happy to be part of the family. And I'm also very proudly an Anaconda basses artist, which is a dream come true. So yeah, very lucky and just so grateful. I kind of can't believe it, but
That's fantastic. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
And guitar effects, do they play a part in your overall sound and tone? Do you use them?
Yeah.
Or do you plug in straight into the amp? How does it work for you?
So recently, more so than ever, because mainly beforehand I was in a lot of bands that just didn't really call for it. But recently I've been working on my own solo project, which I've wanted to do for quite a while. And so I've been doing a lot of experimenting and kind of had free reign to do any of it. So it's been really nice, and they're really starting to shape my sound. So I'm kind of just getting to grips with what I can do and like discovering new things all the time. So yeah, now I would say more than ever, they are starting to shape my sound. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I kind of embarked on the journey probably 2 years ago, like seriously, I say seriously, and that's when I started investing in a pedal board, and I'm learning every day. And it's just what you said about the guitaring, doesn't matter how good you are, you're always learning. And it's the same with me with pedals, and there's so much to learn. But I also find that quite interesting, because it keeps me interested to try and find out more, and all the different the pedal builders out there. I just find it so interesting.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I think I'm on a similar path to you, but just a couple of years behind. So yeah, it's good to know.
And I think bass players are embracing effects more now as well. So I'm seeing on the forum more bass players with pedal boards, and you know, using effects, using fuzzes and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to encourage more bass players to try and, you know, to show us a bit of their pedal board look, because there's a lot of bass players using them, you know. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think for quite a while there was a bit of a prejudice, seems like a strong word, but a bit of an expectation for bass players to not use pedals. Like, there was always kind of this thing sometimes where you turn up to a gig and they see you've got a pedal board and they're like, oh, why have you got that? You don't even need it. You're just the bass player. So it's really nice. Like, even other bass players have said that. I'm like, but don't you want to experiment? So yeah, it's nice that it seems to be getting more, like, there's more bass players every day that seem to be exploring it more.
Yeah, I entirely, you know, and I agree entirely. And then also we're in a very fortunate time as well, because I don't know, 50 years ago or whatever, there weren't as many effects as there are now.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We've got so many toys available right now.
Yeah.
You know, and it inspires creativity and sounds and inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we're in a absolutely very good sound. And do you, when you're in recording, do you use effects in the studio, or are you using Pro Tools for your effects?
Yeah, so again, before this, I kind of didn't really have the opportunity to use all that many, but last year I recorded most of my first ever solo album, and that was the first time I've been able to really let loose with all the pedals. And I remember at one point during the recording of that, I had like a cluster on the floor of about at least 20 pedals. I didn't actually count, and none of them were mine. I just foraged them from the studio. But yeah, so that was really exciting because I've never been able to do anything like that before. Similarly, before that, I was recording something of my own at home, and I wanted to record some bongos for it, but I didn't have a microphone. So I thought, how can I achieve this? And I was thinking, the pickups on my bass are technically a microphone, right? So what I did was I lay the bass down on the bongos and used the pickup to record the sound. And then as I was recording them, I was thinking, effects go through my bass, which means they can go through the bongos. So I was just there for a good half an hour, like setting it all up and like trying all these different sounds, trying to find what worked. So yeah, I've always enjoyed exploring it, but it's been really nice. It's only recently that I've been able to really kind of get into it a lot more.
Wow. Wow, that reminded me of something that I saw, a guitarist called Phil X, when he did a few covers of a few songs, and he did Whole Lot of Love by he did a cover of Superstition, but in the cover of Whole Lot of Love, where the song goes into that long sort of bridge instrumental, and there's lots, I think Jimmy Page uses the theremin.
That thing's amazing.
What Phil X did was he actually got his mobile phone, and there's an app on there, and it's like this, I don't know, a little robot app.
I know the one you mean, is Bebop.
That's it. And have you seen the video?
No, I haven't, but
I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, it was Russ Sargent that actually told me about that, who was one of my bass teachers a few years ago. So yes, I know what you mean. I'm excited to check that video out, actually.
it's incredible. I was like blown out. So I was like, I've got to get that up on my phone.
Yeah, it's so cool what you can get now. There's so many different things, and so many of them are so portable now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're playing in a covers band, I understand, and
Yeah,
you're doing some of your own originals music now. So
yeah,
you'd like to tell us about that?
sure. So the band are called Nancy and the Dolls, and I'm on guitar for them. They're actually kind of the reason I picked up the guitar, because my old band, who were like a progressive groove metal band, I'm actually quite proud of a lot of the stuff that I wrote and that we played. So we were quite young at the time, and actually I managed to force a few effects in there as well. But we supported Nancy and the Dolls, and their manager called me about 2 weeks after that gig, and he was like, I don't suppose you want to play a gig at Butlins, do you, with Nancy and the Dolls? It's in 2 weeks and you've got to learn this whole set list. So I was like, yeah, sure. And it ended up being the biggest gig I'd ever done, and I was so nervous beforehand I couldn't even eat. But it's remained one of my favourite gigs to date. But after that, so that was on bass. And then I think it was about a year after that, their manager rang me up again and he said, can you play guitar? So I was like, yeah, I play guitar. And I didn't play guitar. So I was like, better learn that quickly. So I had about 2 months to quickly learn the guitar and learn the whole set list. And I wouldn't have said yes if I didn't think I could do it. Like, obviously, I wouldn't do that to someone because I wouldn't want to drop them in it. But I had a fair amount of like experience on the bass, so I thought, because it's mainly punk stuff, a lot of it is quite similar to what I play on the bass. So I thought, yeah, I'm sure I can do that. And as it happens, I really enjoyed playing the guitar, and I ended up becoming their guitarist. So it's funny how things work out. But yeah, they didn't know that I didn't play guitar before that.
Wow, that's incredible. Any plans to start, start playing any other instruments other than, bass, guitar, and drums? Any other sort of plans, or?
Yeah, so I do play a little bit of piano, and I've played a bit on my album actually. Aside from that, I've also become a lot more confident with my singing. I'm still not the most confident, but I actually sang on my album, which is the first time I've ever done anything like that. So it's a huge step for me. So I'm getting really into exploring that more as well. Aside from that, for years, I've really wanted to learn sitar and hurdy-gurdy, as you do.
Wow.
So I'm hoping one day that will happen.
Wow. You'll be, you'll have enough instruments under your belt to be in a top class Led Zeppelin tribute band.
yeah, just me.
You'll be able to do it all yourself. The vocals, the lot.
Yeah. I also play a little bit of upright bass as well, but I've not done too much on that yet. So.
Wow, incredible. So what's next for you? Have you got any sort of plans for the future when sort of COVID goes and back gigging and things like that? What are your plans?
So of course I'm hoping to finally release the album. It's so frustrating because I recorded all of it except one song, and then COVID hit, so I'm like, it's like all done except one thing. But hopefully it shouldn't take me too long to get that out. So the plan is, in theory, release that and then hopefully gig it in some form or another. I'm thinking I might do some of it more like solo bass kind of renditions of the songs, and also get together some kind of collective, maybe to do those songs, but also another kind of project. I was thinking of kind of merging the two, because I'd like to do some heavier stuff, which of course I can't exactly do all on my own. So I was thinking it would the songs kind of lend themselves to various styles. I think they could be played in different styles. So the plan is try and get the solo aspect of that out there, and also form a collective where it's more of a group project and do some slightly heavier stuff and more progressive kind of stuff.
Wow, it sounds really interesting.
Thank you.
Well, as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, we interviewed a guitarist called Jackie Taylor quite recently.
Oh yeah.
She's phenomenal.
Is she?
Oh, unbelievable. Incredibly talented. And from some of the clips that I've seen of you playing and sort of John, she'd fit into that sort of.
I'm definitely going to check her out.
I'm going to give her a plug for you.
Oh, please do. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to check her out, actually.
Oh, please.
Her name really rings a bell, so I'm wondering if I might have seen her online somewhere. But
you probably seen her posted in the group.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah, we interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, she's shades of Joe Satriani, Steve Vai,
yeah,
that sort of thing. Incredible, you know.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Yeah.
So, all right, and lastly, what sort of music you're listening to now, and in particular, what was the 5 last albums or records that you listened to?
This is where I forget everything I've ever listened to, but I'm pretty sure it was Clap Hands by Tom Waits, Serpentine Fire by Earth, Wind and Fire. Sorry to any Germans, but Was ich liebe by Rammstein. Gosh, what was the other? There was a song called Cicatrices by Gilhelm Desk, which is on a hurdy-gurdy, and he actually used effects pedals on the hurdy-gurdy, so I'd recommend checking that out for anyone that is into using effects on random things. God, what the hell was the last one?
I think you've given us enough there. I think Look, Cici, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and you know, thank you so much. Is that a cello I can see in there in the background?
It is. Which side is it?
That to your left.
It's right there.
There we go. So you do cello as well? So
I've got one, and I was planning to pick it up, but I actually haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't play trombone either, but for some reason that's behind me. I don't even know where it came from. But my dad was in the garage and he was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this trombone. And he was just in the middle of lockdown, because we live in like a village that's pretty out of the way, and it's quite quiet. But there's people down the road, so the sound just travels. So he was just there, like anytime anyone happened to be walking past, he was going, like, and it just echoed all the way down. I was like, oh my god. You know how I said I was the only musician in the family? Yeah, it's probably for good reason.
That's good. Excellent. Well, look, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. So
you too.
So thank you very much, and I'll say goodbye from me, and have a great night and even better rest of the week.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Cheers.